die freundliche Einleitung, but I will switch to English, of course. Can everybody hear me in the audience? Because so much sound around us. Hey, thank you for showing up. I know everybody's exhausted after doing this trade fair for 4 days already, or for 5 days already, and I guess you've seen all the booths. So now the last thing you didn't see yet, which is a talk about the Fairhair Alliance. As the kind introduction said, I'm Denteneer. I'm Technical Working Group Chair of this Fairhair Alliance. And I do this as part of my affiliation with Philips Lighting, where I'm Director of Standards. I'm talking today about Fairhair Alliance, IoT security for commercial buildings. So that is quite a few words. Let me go through them one by one leisurely as a sort of quick summary of what I have to say. So one thing is we talk about the Fairhair Alliance, which is a group of companies leading in building automation, lighting control, but also IT and IC design. They get together and their scope of work is the commercial buildings. And yeah, that is well positioned here in this fair where all this, I think this area is devoted to that topic. We talk about IoT security. First thing is IoT. What do? We think as an alliance that building automation and lighting control will over time transform to IP-based solutions. So what we say is we bring everything in building automation to IP. And if you do that, there's one thing that needs special attention, and that's security. And in carrying out this program, we find out more and more that in fact the security is the key of what we do. And in solving security, the bringing to IP is feasible with the tools that we already have these days. So that is in a nutshell what we do. Here it says again, we have commercial buildings. Okay, that it is an interesting market. I think I don't have to explain to you that here, because everybody is in this market. What is the actual challenge that we're meeting in this Fairhair Alliance? And I would say it has all to do with integration challenges that we meet these days in our industry. So what kind of integration challenges do we meet? That's a whole lot of segmentation we see. We see segmentation into building silos, where we have lighting, HVAC, water, building access, energy, elevators, and regular IT infrastructure, all living next to each other. And the integration of these, and we see also ecosystems living next to each other, where we have BACnet, which is of course the best ecosystem you can have, but unfortunately there are also other ecosystems around, which I will not now name, but there's also proprietary ecosystems around. And also the integration of these ecosystems poses considerable headaches when you deploy building solutions. And Fairhair is specifically there to address these integration challenges. And I said, how do I address these? We address these by bringing everything to IP technology and making it secure. That is the key tagline of my story, so to say. Okay, so and how are we going to do that? We will already see this trend in the building and industry, that we have convergence with IT. We see IT being used as the backbone of our information systems, in which the leaf networks are fed and communicate with each other. We see IP and IT infrastructure as the means to remotely access the devices in our building automation system. So we see this trend, and we will pull it one step further to also bring the ecosystems on IP, to also bring the devices, the building automation control devices on IP, and to then have this seamlessly integrate. And we see this here. So it's not only then that we solve the integration with the building silos. It's not only that we solve integration with ecosystems, but it's also that we facilitate the integration with IT, and specifically the cloud control and the building control that we will deploy these days. Okay, nice technology, everybody tells me. What does it bring us business-wise? And I would say there's a number of things. For one thing, we focus on interoperability and seamless integration of multiple physical media. So in building automation these days, the media are still tightly coupled, integrated with the building automation solution. And you see many different technologies and languages that have to talk to each other. And using IP, you decouple this and you leave the integration of the different media to the IT layer, to the IT industry, and we can focus on the semantics, on the data, and on making things work together, rather than connecting things. Connecting things done by IT industry, making things work together, building beautiful applications. That's our core competence. That's what we can focus on. We will then bring more efficiency to the industry. So currently, centralized remote monitoring of building installations is still a challenge. Bringing this to IT enables this, facilitates this, and makes life more efficient for the building operator. It also makes life more efficient for those who build the solutions, because they can deploy tools from IT, and this goes to stacks that we have in our embedded devices, and it goes to software systems, protocols that we have in our management systems. And so we make building automation more efficient in the engineering sense, as well in the management sense. Of course, we have this securely, and it's sometimes difficult for people to understand why would security be a business opportunity. And I see this in the upcoming regulation. This upcoming regulation, you will no longer be allowed to deploy connected systems in any building just like that. We talk about regulations like the IEC 62443, the UL 2600s. These are going to be deployed more and more, and it's going to be difficult to deploy your automation system, your connected system, and connect it via an IT backbone, because regulation will not allow it. You will not be allowed into the government buildings. You will not be allowed into the building automation systems of the high-tech IT companies unless you comply to security. So the security, well, is a business opportunity in that it gains you market share in important markets. And then again, our solutions bring scalability. We will be able to execute them on small embedded devices, as well as on the gateways that we have in our systems. So scale from small to large devices. You will also scale from small to large installations. So it's a considerable reduction of SKUs, protocols that you need deploy in your buildings, in your building automation, because our systems are scalable in these two ways. So it's good to focus on these business opportunities and have these in mind. Okay, from this convergence of IT and building automation, from the high level, what do we have to do? What do we see as the high level requirements? Good to pause on them. We think IP-based infrastructure with seamless integration with IT networks and smart devices. Bring it all to IP. Compliance to IT security practices and policies. And that is extremely important, because as soon as you're going to deploy IP-based solutions, you're going to introduce, quote unquote, an IT device onto an IT network. And the IT management does not necessarily like that, because they manage the network, they manage the devices on the network, they want to know that they can trust this device, they want to know that they can identify this device as soon as it misbehaves. So compliance to IT security is important here, and that's also how our alliance is composed, in that we have players from the full value chain. So we're not just building automation and lighting control companies. We also have IT companies like Cisco in our team that tell us the requirements from the IT point of view. We also have the silicon providers like NXP and Silicon Labs in our team that tell us about the roadmaps of the embedded devices and what kind of tooling we can expect there, so that our standards are forward-looking and not looking backward about what devices could do yesterday, but are looking forward and taking into account the capabilities of the upcoming generation of wireless and wired devices. And This sounds maybe a little bit threat-like, but there's also advantages for the building automation, because as soon as we're well embedded in the IT security practices, we can also use their servers, their protocols to manage the devices, and that will save a lot of time and money developing these things ourselves. Support for secure communication. This may seem like a no-brainer to you, but still work needs to be done here, and the Fairhair Alliance is there to push this work and to also tell this IT industry we need security solutions for group communication with latency requirements. That is an essential thing, and we need it, and we need you to take that into account in your roadmaps. Usability with multiple IP media, so we see convergence on all the IP media, wireless, wired, that we see in the IT industry, also for our building automation, and the seamless integration of these is arranged through our IT practices. And to that, it must be usable with multiple IP-based application layers. So we foresee ecosystems move to these IP-based solutions like BACnet, and but we also foresee other ecosystems doing that. And there again, we have a point of integration that we would like to address. Okay, I talked about the solution and the integration. This is the architecture that we foresee for the building automation system. So what you can see here is that we converge it all to IP, that the silos, they may have their own application languages, their own application systems. Again, we may have application ecosystems like BACnet and maybe Zigbee hanging around in these buildings. And because of IP, we solve the connectivity problem for that. Then, of course, we still need to integrate on the application level to foster semantic understanding of the devices in the different silos. And this can be done through control devices, application gateways, but are no longer vertically integrated with a weird transport media and physical media we deploy, but they can become simple computers, state of the that we get from IT industry, and where they are located in the network is no longer so much of a concern. So that is then the architecture that we foresee in the Fairhair vision. So we'll then think, and this is maybe for the avoidance of doubt, are you promoting a new standard? And that is not the case. I wouldn't dare even here facing this impressive BACnet stand. No, rather what Fairhair does is deploy a sort of specify the middleware protocol set for security and discovery, and then donate this to the ecosystems. So we do not add another standard and get to even more competing standards. Rather, what we work at is the middleware layer in the IP stack that goes on top of the standard IT technology layers, and that cares for security, discovery, and